Start recording. Fantastic. Okay, so welcome to the inaugural session 0.5 of Chronicles of Calaxia. We talked about the world a little bit during session 0, got some character building going, and where we're picking up is in the one town that I bothered to come up with a name and details about. And the rest I sort of turned over to you guys. So I helpfully put on the "You Are Here" little sticker pointing at the town. This is the town of Galric. It's a magical town. The vibes of this town, just to sort of refresh the memories, is sort of like Borgia era Venice. It's very much controlled by the rich people. If you have money, you're doing well. If you're upper crust, you've got money, and thus you're doing well. And if you're not upper crust, you're doing what you can to try to get in or get allied with them to advance your own interests. Across the lands of Calaxia, there are a number of small kingdoms. It's closer to Crusader kings in that there's a lot of sort of, duchies and petty kingdoms as opposed to great empires spreading the land. There's plenty of wars. It's not to say that there's plenty of peace, but there hasn't been any major unifying forces that have been able to conquer or establish themselves across more than just a modest chunk of the land for as far back as anyone can really remember. There's stories and tales of, think like antiquity, like if you were being told the story of Beowulf. Those are kind of the stories of, oh yes, this army conquered the lands. But then when the story is told, the lands and seas are different, and the shapes and sounds and smells of the lands are different. And it's enough that even to a studied person who's well up on the world and the physical nature of it, there's plenty to go, it may not entirely be natural. So, for whatever reasons, you both find yourselves in Galric. It's at this point in the world, either the first or second largest city. It is home to, I believe I said around 100,000 people when we were talking before, a couple weeks ago. So it's for sort of the the sort of high medieval era. It's plenty populated. It's a little bit like Venice in that it's very spread out. There are a lot of streets and canals, but it's not necessarily sinking into a swamp like Venice is, the way you would think of it. Galric is also, for its part, a small kind of independent or quasi-independent kingdom. Basically, they have enough money and influence to sort of be able to protect their own interests. Within their sort of sphere of influence, they are able to protect an area roughly. Let me see if I can mark this. You guys see that line?
Yeah.
That's sort of the area that's more or less under the control of the lords of Galric. Galric is currently led by a gentleman named Mari, Mari. If you guys would like to roll to see what you know about this person, you can. Otherwise, I can give you sort of the 10,000 foot. I can give you guys the sort of high level view, and then you can figure out what your characters may or may not know.
I'll roll.
Yeah, we can roll.
Tradition and history?
This is probably going to be more. Actually, you know, yeah, let's go tradition and history.
Because that's what I'm proficient in. But
you could also go legends and lore if you want. That would give you some different kinds of information. And this will be, you know, a against 2 purple.
Oh, against 2 purple. Okay.
One success, 1 threat.
And 2 success for me.
Okay. So what Anello knows about him is he was a merchant of some kind. Amongst the things that you were told was part of your inventory when you came to, there was a matchbook, sort of think like, you know, like a little like a business card almost, but sort of like an enchanted matchbook. The Mari's business, I don't have a name for it. It is the well, the original word is from a language that's not commonly spoken. It's the ships and the crest have the letters HNTD. So it looks sort of like hunted. But no one would say that. And you guys would both know, like, you would recognize the crest with those letters and go, oh, that's, you know, one of Mari's ships. Anello, you're not totally sure what gets moved where or how. You're just sort of like, you sort of recognize the name. Mallory, because you're more involved with mercantile affairs. I believe you are a merchant.
To a degree, he kind of like in luxury goods. Maybe as like, you know, as to make scratch, you know, on his travels, he'll, you know, kind of not really smuggle, but just, you know, like find, you know, fashion or perfumes from one region and bring it to another, like very, you know, high-end luxury type of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so you know that he deals with a lot of the more heavy items that are valuable, where the discretion of those beyond the mages are desired. So during the primer a couple weeks ago, I had sort of set the scene that cargo is still moved around via ships and land caravans, but if you have the money and access to influence, mages with a capital M is a job that some people can do, and it is essentially a powerful magical order that's, think a little bit like Teamsters meets organized crime, but they control. If you need to move something in a hurry, they're the ones that can manipulate how the fabric of reality bends and shifts. And it's very, very expensive unless you are connected.
Figured out the secrets to Amazon Prime in the medieval age.
They the margins that Jeff Bezos would seek are not worth their effort. To sort of put things into perspective, mages are pretty uncommon. Within this, one of the most populated cities in the world, there is a couple dozen.
Okay.
And they sort of the you both would sort of have this knowledge, existing in the world. You would know that if you needed to hire a mage to move items, you would go to one of their offices and meet with someone. It's sort of like going to like a car dealership where you say what you're looking for. They give you some options. They try to shake you down. Try to they know that if you're in a hurry and you need something moved anywhere on the globe in a hurry, it's them or no one, essentially. People and living matter is not transported this way. The consequences of doing so typically involve permanent insanity. The legends that you met, that Mallory, you would have heard this as a kid. Anello, you may not remember your childhood, but Mallory, you would have heard about the stories of, instead of hearing stories of the boogeyman creeping under the bed, you would hear the stories of a disobedient child who angered the Shadow Weaver and ripped you through the heavens and the fabric of reality, and you emerged entirely changed. And it was sort of like the, like the old German, like Brothers Grimm, like everything is morbid and terrible type story. So it's not to say that you could not be teleported somewhere, but you would have to find a mage to do so, and to do so for them would get them kicked if they were caught. There are consequences, at minimum getting kicked out of the order, and more likely they would just be killed by someone else from the order for basically threatening their racket,
Makes sense.
by sending lunatics all over the place, because you might come out great, like, if you come out a murderous psychopath, but you also have the ability to shoot, a Gatling gun of fireballs at people while screaming, like, it's like, well, if that gets contained, they're gonna be like, okay, why did that guy get here? And it may take a while, but they're gonna get to the bottom. When you have money and you're trying to control your monopoly, you will aggressively protect your monopoly. So this side of the world is generally quite peaceful. Mari's shipping comes in and out of town There, if you want something moved quickly, think maybe like more armored car or courier service, but more specialty transport could be available from Mari's. But it's sort of like a I'm trying to think of like DHL. Like they have some vehicles and employees of their own, but they also will contract out work depending on what it is, what's going on. It's one of the reasons why that family has sort of stayed as prominent as they have been for the last several hundred years. Mallory, even even on the other side of the world, back when you were growing up, you at least could recognize the crest and go, "Oh, okay, I know that means something's getting moved." But let's zoom in a little bit and see what's going on. If I can get this to actually do what I want. So, you guys see the beautiful, colorful map?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Okay,
On
so
there.
yeah, there's a lot of placeholder icons because I didn't want to push us back another 2 weeks while I figured out how to re-import
cameos in here. It looks like.
Yeah. So, a lot of things are just reused from the holiday special, which is fine. So this is just one of the many smaller ports. We kind of, the way I sort of imagined, joining our story in progress is Mallory is stepping off of a ship into town. He has been bringing some boxes of fabrics and perfumes and various sort of high-end goods from his land. Those are still on board the ship. The figures you see sort of scattered around are generally just dock workers, merchants. It very much looks like a pretty active shipyard in that there's always people moving around. It may not be like an anthill where there's people crawling all over each other, but there is a constant hustle and bustle. Anello, as part of your healing services offered by the Ushkek Order, one of the things that the Temple of Alar does is any ships coming in and out of going into town, one of you will stand by to treat any passengers coming off the boat who may be carrying a disease or an infection. It's one of the ways they help keep plagues from spreading across the land. Would you like to share anything about the order, or would you like me to fill in a little bit of the flavor?
Yes, I cleanse the plague. I cure the infections. Yes. No, yeah, you can fill in your background about the order. I think it's very cool. It's very share what you think.
Yeah.
About the order.
So the order that Anello is part of is called the Ushkek Order. They are I I don't really have a good grasp, and I'm going to say this as Silk, the GM, not as a particular narrator. Um, think cleric, druid, priest, healer. Um, they're named after an adherent of Alar, who um, who gave their life to save thousands from a plague that threatened the lands of Calaxia some time ago. It's one of those, think like Noah's Ark, in that like it's sort of like people kind of accept that there was probably a guy that healed that did some good stuff to protect against the plague, and then sort of the rest of it is a question of faith, belief, and how charitable you want to be towards a religion. But his sacrifice meant he ended up being ascended to the divine by Alar. So people whose lives were saved, they created an order dedicated to eradicating disease and sickness, and making sure that life is able to progress and develop without disease and destruction threatening life itself. So it's not that there's like you can like there's still you could still get the flu, and there's still those sorts of things, but the plague that was sort of the impetus for the order is closer to like Walking Dead apocalypse type situation versus even like a Spanish flu, if that sort of helps sort of put that into context. So within Galric itself, there is a number of temples of Alar. Anello is attached to one of them, and one of his duties is to be available at the port to tend to people coming off boats, to make sure that they aren't bringing disease or plague into the town to threaten 100,000 people, because that would that kind of disease spreading would shame the order and threaten the light that the glorious Alar has bestowed on the land with their radiance. So
beautiful introduction. And absolutely, yeah. He's a very devout servant of Alar, and he's very even though he's creepy as hell and a zombie, he's like very good aligned and like very honorable and trustworthy, and serving Alar and light.
Yeah. This is Silk's note, not necessarily Biddy's order note, but it's interesting that he kind of gravitated to Alar, because Alar is was sort of the most like they shall learn of our peaceful ways by force type deities, when I was sort of originally getting the roughest of outlines of mental models. So it was just kind of a funny how that sort of evolved and adapted, even if
exactly.
Even if the pantheon is basically like 90% different from what I started with, besides the names.
I love.
So yeah, I didn't add a million people moving around, loading and unloading ships, but I'll point out a couple of things that Actually, yeah, if you guys both want to give me a perception against 3 purple, let's see what you notice.
I am terrible at perception.
Failure and a threat. I'm too distracted from loading my cargo.
Failures.
I'm not used to doing manual labor, you see.
Okay. So you guys will see stuff. You just won't necessarily correctly identify what things are.
5 failures, wow.
Yeah. Not so good at perceiving things.
It's okay. All right. Let me get the pen out so I can point at things. Change what color this is going to do. Yeah, it's probably fine. Okay, so I'll point out a couple of things. So down here, where there's what looks like Stabby and 2 gonks, that is a sort of think like a harbor master type with some doing some paperwork, and so he is talking with some kind of logistical officers. As far as you can tell, there are some people that came off a boat. He looks like he's holding a clipboard. They are coming over, talking, and going back to ships and doing stuff. So that's what you guys are seeing there. Down here, further to the bottom, where there's greasers and another guy, there are some very dapper looking folks. Just, they seem to be people watching. They're definitely not looking for anyone that needs mugging. You're sure they're just, enjoying the day. It's 64 degrees and partially cloudy. There's a little bit of a breeze coming in. It's kind of nice. The smell off the water is a little bit salty, a little bit kind of tepid, but it could be worse. And like I said, those guys, as far as you guys can see, since you all rolled great, they're people watching. Just nothing wrong with going out and people watching. To the north, there are some more guys who are, they seem to be sort of leaning on some boxes. They don't seem like they're particularly comfortable, but you're like, hey, they're leaning on crates and boxes. Mallory, you wonder if the boxes of things that you brought would be comfortable to sit on while you're looking around and taking the sit. But as you're sort of thinking about it, your eyes are drawn to sort of the most distinctive people. The part of the mage at the docks will be played by Isla, the mage from the story. You see a woman in Mallory. How rich was your family growing up?
I'd say very well off. They were definitely a noble family, and my
Okay.
father worked in the court of the king, so they'd
Okay.
be off.
This to your eyes, this chick is dressed in the most opulent shit you've ever seen. It's sort of like if you guys have ever been out at a nice restaurant, you see people that are wearing we might wear a polo that's like $40 or $50 out if we're going somewhere nice, but they're the people that show up at an $800 polo and a $1,400 set of slacks, whereas we're in $50 polo and like $60 slacks. Like, it's she looks
$5,000 suit. Come on.
Yeah.
Come
yeah,
on.
exactly. It is unironically like the Job Bluth suit. She looks immaculate. She is holding a staff.
I'll have to get
Uh,
the address of her tailor.
and she is sort of standing there with two with two guys who look quite big and cuddly, let's say. They have their big swollen muscles and powerlifting shaped barrel guts and chests would make you think these guys are probably pretty good at giving hugs.
Yes.
I mean,
In fact,
you
I
get
think
I gotta
I'll
pay
make an
off the
attempt
the bad I gotta pay off the bad rolls somehow. So
I will make an attempt to bed all three of them at the same time tonight. After I load all these goddamn boxes.
so you're standing on the dock, Mallory. Anello, you've seen some people come off of that boat, and I gotta check a note. My one note logged me out, so give me 1 second. Mallory, you suddenly kind of get the feeling that someone that you that like you that seems familiar to you is actually looking for you. You're not entirely sure, but you sort of get the sense that you're like, huh,
Like I'm being watched.
almost like a business associate maybe that like you haven't worked with in a while. Maybe it's someone from like the equivalent that you would recognize, Mosky, would be someone that you've only seen on Zoom before, but now you're seeing them in person. So you notice that they're they're quite a bit taller than you expected.
Sure. Yeah.
And they don't appear to have gestured to you or made any particular advances. But as you've sort of gotten pushed forward off the dock towards the healer, as the guys are sort of unloading the ship, and this is Silk, the GM, sort of trying to move things along, you get kind of pushed down this way, and you are sure that that this person is sort of moving out to appraise you.
Yes, my child. Let me inspect you for wounds. You have the plague. Let me check for you.
Plague.
I'm like, I'll sort of inspect him and
I'm sorry. Do I
yeah.
smell like I have the plague? I'm wearing this most magnificent perfume. If it smells like the plague, you
Everyone
have
has
to
the
tell me. I
plague
couldn't
until
walk
proven
around smelling like
otherwise.
plague.
No perfumes. No perfumes. Everyone has the plague. I'll just try to like cast like a cure plague spell on him.
Do you want to try to find out if he's carrying something, or are you just going to go straight to I'm going to inoculate you?
Anello's just been doing this like rotely. Just everybody has the plague. They all have to get cured.
Okay. Let me double check my magic reference.
You Garinchians have the strangest of protocols and rituals.
I think it's like heal +2 to restore disease or whatever.
So if you heal him, he would get an extra 2 back. But I want to make sure I know what you're not, but
I think it's a 3 purple heal, I think, to restore disease is what I was saying, I believe.
Sir, I come from nobility. I am the
Yeah,
son of a gentleman.
that is correct. So
No,
it
inflicted on
is
such a thing.
it is too strange to cast the spell on this strange foreigner who speaks in a manner that is odd to you, and I'm going to add a setback because he is kind of resisting and a little off put by your aggressive inoculation strategy.
Accurate.
Very true. But I also get a boost because I'm using holy anointed oil to cast this component casting. So,
Yep.
I don't even know what you're putting in me. Could be government surveillance.
The 5G, it's a good for you.
Yes, back in the old country, we had much government surveillance.
0 success, 1 advantage. So I assume that's
Okay.
not successful. Close
Yeah.
enough.
I have I have an interpretation of this for you.
You
So,
look okay to me. It's fine.
Yeah. So,
you did a good job.
What does it look like when Anello is doing his divine healing?
He's like taking out holy oil and making a little holy mark on Mallory's forehead and like casting a little healing spell on him.
Okay. Is it like a big theatrical thing, or is it very kind of
so
like...
he kind of like pops him, sort of smacks him on the forehead with it, give him a little English on it,
Okay. For some reason I'm imagining the WWF wrestler like William Regal or whatever with like the brass knuckles. You like cold cock him, and then like the concussion gets instantly healed along with whatever it is, and you're like, oh yes, good job.
The power of airline compels you.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got oil on my hat.
Yeah. So
this cloth?
It's the good for you. It's for you. It's the healer playing.
Okay, so I've got an idea for the advantage. If you want me to pitch it, I will. But if you have something in mind,
sure. Lay it on me.
Okay. So I was going to say it fails, and the advantage is you realize he is not sick. And as a corollary, the oil of Alar has kind of produced. Have you ever seen like sort of like the rain on polarized like a sunroof where it kind of gets that colorful swirly starburst kind of thing?
Yeah, the sort of oil thin film kind of effect.
Yeah, that film kind of, where like whatever the coating is, it kind of like gets that like weird colorful burst that essentially, Mallory, your gets a pop of very bright radiant color from the glory of Alar, as you were healed for nothing because you were fine. Your hat also smells, nice. It smelled good before, but now it smells a little bit like.
Also, by the way, my hand is ice cold as I'm doing this. It's incredibly creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like touching it is like being touched by a corpse. It would be if there was prolonged contact, it would be pretty uncomfortable, and you'd probably have to make a resilience check to take some strain from being fucking cold. But you notice, it smells good. What did your hat smell like before?
Oh, Mallory probably smells, of any kind of like floral perfume. Could be this this equivalent of Axe body spray or something annoying like that. But no, it would smell like kind of lavender and roses. He's a posh guy.
Okay. Biddy, what does it smell like now?
like anointed oil, which is to say, incense, basically.
Okay. I'm going to, here now that we're like an hour in, I'm going to make the first flavor.
Smells like horse shit.
No, it actually smells a little bit like if you guys have ever used like the Head and Shoulders or in like the red bottle, it's got the I forget what it is, but it's sort of it's got like the like it's almost minty, but it's not mint. It's got that like what is it, potassium sulfite or selenium sulfide or whatever. So it's kind of got a refreshing smell. It smells like something's a bit like your hat may have been disinfected, but like in a pleasant way, sort of like it's sanitized, or a little bit like ozone, but with a little bit of like a little bit of ozone, but with a little bit of like freshness to it. Like it's sort of hard to describe, but it's not unpleasant.
Well, I tell you what, friend. Say we bottle a bit of this essence of this oil. I'm sure we could make quite a profit if we sold it across the nation.
For profit, my friend. This is for the glory of the Lord, the Mother and the Father, God in one. Elah, our Holy Mother and Father.
Well, yes, I'm writing
Cannot
this
be
down.
sold for profit, my friend.
I'm writing this down.
Can never be sold
on
for
the label.
Yeah. Just as the point of clarification, Alar is sort of, like all deity, like all the gods and goddesses of Calaxia, beautiful, but not like you wouldn't be able to identify them with a gender or anything like that. They're sort of like a, think like an objectively beautiful, but like sort of androgynous Tilda Swinton type, or where you're just like they're attractive, but I don't really like have a vibe if that's like a goddess, if it's a god, or if it's just a divine being that transcends the concepts that I understand. Just sort of as a sort of
our imaginations to work with.
Yep. So Alar is a divine a divine being of radiant light and beauty, but like the idea of it would be sort of like saying God is a man or God is a woman. You're like, no, it's like a being that is so far beyond the lexicon of what we talk about, like the idea of gender for a deity in the lands of Calaxia is kind of a it's viewed with sort of a this is silly pedantry, like no one cares.
Well, say to Anello, well, who am I to deny a blessing from the great Alar? I'm a follower of Seraphina myself, but who are we to pick and choose between the gods?
Yes, perhaps you should pick and choose Elah. He's much better than Seraphina.
So as you're sort of doing this, Mallory, roll me a vigilance.
Okay.
It's going to be 3 purple, and you now have 2 setbacks because you are in the middle of a conversation. I just want to see if you notice something happening.
It's going to be 1 failure, 2 threat.
Okay. The person you were
I'm
watching seems to have disappeared.
About the gods with this strange fellow.
Yep, the person you were watching, you lost sight of them.
Yes, come and accept the Elah's grace. I will bless you with the Elah's blessing. Come now, accept the Elah as your Lord and Savior.
Well, I don't want to go making enemies at this point, my friend.
You do notice that the sort of big, barrely people that were standing by that woman seem to have sort of spread out. But you also can't really tell where she went. So, essentially, because I'm bad at remembering which keys do what, but there should be like a rough fog of war kind of in this area where you're not, where you,
Yes, I see.
you know.
I see fog of war. Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is the, we as the players at the table know where they are, but the characters don't know.
Sure. What I know about Anello's his sect, his condition, and all that, is that a common knowledge thing?
It is quite uncommon. This would probably be a daunting check. So 5 purple, and mostly because they don't really share information about their order outside unless there's some particular reason to. So the sort of analogy I would use is it's not like the Knights of Columbus where you can go to a website or go to a book or read a book or even just sort of go to a meeting and be like, hey, I want to join. Like, it's not real. They don't really have something like
You
that.
basically joined by like dying in the service of the church and signing up for it. So
That is
dying
what Biddy
for
said
much.
is sort of the public perception, and it's sort of not confirmed or denied. To the extent of the order, no, like it's not really clear who sort of runs it. Like there, like logically you'd think there would probably be a pope or a head, sort of calling the shots to help make sure things keep running in some way. But no one knows who that is or how they're selected. It's all very sort of hush hush. The little bits of information that are out sort of are things that got passed down through legends and lore. So if you want to know sort of what people say about the order, you can roll legends and lore. If you want to know, like, from sort of like the dry textbook stance, what about this order might you know? You can roll religion and arcane.
Try religion, arcane.
But yeah, five purple. It is a hard one.
6
because-
failures.
Okay,
You are a strange little man.
That's a shitload of failures.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
there is a reason why daunting checks are very hard.
Brutal.
Well,
They
for the
this is
for now, I
not
guess I'll
everything
just
is
try to just introduce myself to this guy while my cargo gets unloaded.
yeah. So as this is going on, one of the deckhands from the boat hands you a slip that basically just sort of has the details on, hey, we estimate your cargo will be unloaded at X time. If you're hiring a caravan to continue the delivery, here's the information you can relay to them, and they'll take it from there. It's sort of like you got your forms. He hands you basically TPS reports
Yes,
mixed
fine,
with
whatever. Just
some
don't-
manifests.
Just don't rattle the boxes too much, okay? There's fragile items in there. Be careful.
Roll me a. Are you asking him or are you telling him?
I'm telling him.
Okay. Roll me coercion against a red and 2 purple.
Needs the help.
It's not his first rodeo.
Coercion against what?
A red and 2 purple.
That's actually not one of my strong skills. Failure.
It's it.
One failure.
Okay. Biddy, I will let you handle blowing off Mallory. How does this guy
Torsion is the
blow
one
him
thing I
off?
actually am good at. How does he blow him off?
Yeah, how does the deckhand blow off Mallory when he's like, "Oh, be gentle with it. It's very fragile." Give me like a good like lazy surly Teamsters, like, surly from Duff Gardens type thing. If I can use that.
Hey,
sentence.
listen, buddy. I got my children need wine.
Oh, that's good. I'll give you an upgrade for that quality itchy and scratchy land reference. So you can upgrade a roll in this session for that reference.
Nice. Wow.
So Mallory, you're pretty sure he's going to do a good job and get that taken care of for you.
I mean, when an
Anello-
adult tells you to do something, you do it. And I don't see the problem.
No roll required. You know that this guy is probably going to not only not take special care, he's probably going to actively throw it around because, nobody tells Surly what to do, not even Surly. He plays by nobody's rules, not even his own.
I just looked at Ella. It's like, no one wants to
If
work anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then,
I want to work for the rest of my undead forever and ever.
That's where a guy who the guy who sort of looked like he was doing paperwork he looks a lot like Stabby, actually. He kind of pops up. He goes, "Hey, try paying a living wage. People will work just fine for it, jackass." And he goes back to doing his work.
I don't own these dogs. Do you? It sounds like your problem.
I needed no payment. I simply serve the god and the goddess say that.
You see, a good day's work should be its own reward. I've always maintained that.
Okay. So
saying that because Mallory doesn't actually have a job, so
yeah. So as this exchange is going on, Mallory, you briefly see the guy that you sort of vaguely recognized. He sort of like takes a step into the air and just vanishes. So basically, he starts sort of like walking, but there's no effects, there's no smoke, there's no anything. He just vanishes, like almost like he just popped out of existence. And then you see the woman that was over there again. She's back, and you're like, oh, and you can't quite be sure if she was there the whole time.
Seeing as this is going to take a while, hey, my friend, how'd you join me on a stroll? You can praise me the teachings of Alar, and I need a companion while the dock workers finish their job. And I want to try to investigate that face I keep seeing.
Yes, I'm sure I will convince you. Let me try.
I'm very impressionable.
Yes, you seem impressionable.
And if it's okay, Silk, I'd like to kind of try to trail that guy I keep seeing.
Okay. So you can, you saw where he sort of vanished into thin air. He was basically right in here, and he just poofed. Make a single purple vigilance. Just to, I want to see if you happen to notice a thing when he did that.
Success, triumph.
Cool. You noticed that he sort of just popped out without any pomp or circumstance or anything. You've encountered magic before, and you've seen illusionists and things. You might hire a magician for entertainment at parties. You've never seen someone able to just do that. But with the triumph, you notice no one else here seems to have registered that that happened, which is weird considering, with the comings and goings of people moving around with cargo. There's people trying to sell various counterfeit merchandise. I mean, totally legit merchandise at very affordable prices. No one seems to have noticed, which, considering, it's not that this is like it's not like you're going through, Times Square on New Year's, but it's also, like people, like there was plenty of people that you recognize would have been looking in that direction and would have seen someone just disappear, and no one seems to have reacted.
Okay. Well, if somebody wants my attention so badly, they should just come talk to me. Yeah, I might just kind of wander over there and try to see what's going on.
Okay.
My friend, I'm still not convinced. Perhaps tell me another psalm in your worship trailer.
Yes,
Follow me.
of
I'm going to take a
course,
stroll around the
please.
dock.
Yes, come with you. I'll tell you a story.
Okay. So what's the rough plan of attack? Are you planning on going up towards where that woman was, where you sort of saw him head towards, or are you checking out the area where he sort of vanished? You just kind of trying to like look around?
I guess like the area he vanished from, because I noticed that and definitely struck me as odd. And I'm not trying to stealth. I'm actually trying to look, noticeable, just kind of striding out and proud, Like if somebody
Okay.
wants to talk to me and have a conversation, I'm right here.
Okay. I'm not even going to make you roll. Despite coming from a wood ship and a wood dock and, a flat paved, fairly smooth surface, you have a very sharp rock in your shoe. You can feel it as you start sort of taking steps around the area, or sort of around that space. If you sort of walk outside, about a 15-foot range from sort of the spot as best as you could sort of mark it, from where you were, you don't feel that in your shoe anymore. And then when you kind of come back within that range, you feel that sort of rock in your shoe. Which shoe is it in?
Or left shoe.
Okay, so yeah, in Mallory's left shoe, there is what feels like, a little bit of like a rough rock. It's sharp enough to sort of be, painfully obvious that it's there, but it's not, cutting you or stabbing you or anything. It's just you're aware that it's unpleasant.
I think some trickery is afoot here. Afoot, get it? That might be lost in translation.
This is Silk the DM rolling for strain damage. Hang on. What was that?
I feel like Mallory would have the instinct to like maybe there's some magic fuckery happening here. Can he roll like an Arcana or intellectual kind of check to kind of figure out what's happening?
Yeah. I believe he can roll Arcana, which is sort of like the the more intellectual magical stuff. If you would like to, if you are participating with Mallory in this, finding this person, maybe he sold you a story about, oh yeah, there's this other guy that you can introduce to the glory of Alar. whatever it is. If you're if you would like to roll, you may.
Yeah,
This
I'll
is
assist for sure.
okay.
What's the check?
It's
Sorry.
it's Arcana. It's a 3 purple, and you get 2 setback because this is a thing that's happening through a power that you don't have a good you don't have personal experience with.
Are 3 purple for me too,
Um,
or just
I failed.
if
pretty
you
bad.
if you would like to also sort of see if you know anything about it Arcana wise, you can. Um, you could also you could also try one of your knowledge skills.
Okay.
This would be a legends and lore.
I got some brains.
Yeah. Same difficulty. 3 purple. But Mallory gets a blue because of his background.
One failure, 5 advantage.
So Mallory knows what he knows what this is. It's on the tip of his tongue. He is like, you are so sure, like, it's like when you go to, like, as soon as you lay down to go to sleep tonight, you will remember what this is, and you'll be like, 5 advantages is roughly on par with a triumph. I have an idea, but I'm open. I was going to say, while you're struggling with it, you get the idea to maybe take your boot off and see what the rock looks like.
It's uncouth for a gentleman to reveal his bare foot in public like this. Hold on. Friend, can you stand in front of me? Make sure no one sees my feet. I would normally charge a price to see that. And
Yes, I get the view for free. Thank you.
Put some of your oil on it. That might help with the throbbing pain I have.
Yes, you may have a little oil there.
I'll take my boot
If
off.
you're actually damaged, I can heal you. But yeah, I don't think have you
No,
taken
it's
actual damage?
no, it's not damage. If anything, it would be slight strain, but it's mostly just like because it only exists within a range of about 4 or 5 steps in any direction within that small area. It's almost like if you guys ever like been in shoes where you're normally fine, but like your sock bunches up weird for just a couple seconds, and you're like, what the hell? And then like you like have to like you take your shoe off and your sock's fine, and there's no rock, but you realize it was just like bunched weird, and like it was just a super
break
weird.
them in.
Yeah,
sure.
It was just like a weird like combination of things that made it way worse than it should have been. That's kind of the general vibe. You get the impression. Yeah. So, inside your boot, there is a. You can see a small, what looks like a small stone. It's about the size of like the top knuckle of your thumb. So, it's not insignificant, but it's also not like, massive, like this huge thing just comes dumping out or anything like that. But yeah, you see it in there. What would you like to do?
Friend, are you feeling the same sensation? I feel like I'm walking on these... Or this pebble appeared in my shoe. I'm not sure what's happening.
So something is wrong here. What should we do?
Well, if I can't say that I haven't made enemies in my past, maybe somebody playing tricks on me. I say we walk barefoot through the next corridor.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm a
so-
barefoot anyway. Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay, what's the plan with the shoe? You're gonna leave your shoe off and just walk and keep walking.
Yeah, I'll kick my shoes off, carry them with me over my shoulder, and then just walk barefoot through this corridor here.
Okay, are you doing anything with the rock, or are you just kind of leaving it in your boot?
I guess it didn't instinctively come to me to examine it closely. So I just have it in my pocket.
Okay, how did it get into your pocket?
Oh, plucked it out of my shoe, right? So I just kind of.
You just like dumped it into your hand and then flipped it into a pocket. Okay. When it touched your hand, you immediately sort of find yourself in a kind of like in a almost like a dream state. It's one that feels very familiar, but you're not like you don't totally remember. It's sort of like if you've ever been out with like a group of friends and someone says something and you're like, wait, I feel like I heard you make that joke in a dream, but like you're like, that's weird. I don't know how that would be. It's kind of like a weird sensation like that. And what you see is let me see if I've got this ready. Hold please. Nope, I did not have this one ready. What you see is you see natural light coming in through sort of a break in the ground. So you get the feeling that you're sort of like in a cave or an underground maybe like a labyrinth or temple. You're not totally sure, but it feels deliberate. So it's not like a naturally occurring formation. And you see, I have a thing for who you see. I just don't have the land. So hold please. You see this person.
Hello there.
This is like you're far away, so you can't you can sort of see her mouth moving, but you can't make out any sounds. You hear instead of hearing even the sounds of like sound like far away, like you know how you could hear people talking from far away even if you can't really make out the conversation. What you hear is basically it's like a pleasant, but it's sort of like a being bathed in a cacophony of 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 sounds. You can taste these sounds. You're seeing colors as you're sort of looking in this direction, and like all of your senses are sort of being manipulated. And you see this person speaking with a with the figure from before. I gotta get his token back out. I feel like there's going to be a lot of me saying hold please while I don't have this all organized. Um,
Oh yeah, no worries.
but you can't make out the face. But you know instinctively from like the shape of them that uh, um, that it was the person that you sort of recognized at the market, and um, um, uh, your eye. I'm gonna need you to actually roll a resilience against um, 5 purple,
Not gonna be good.
because the thing is happening.
Sure. All right, 1 green. Let's go.
Do we both roll it or
You what Anello sees is you just see him kind of look like he's like Biddy, if you've ever been like walking and talking with someone and they like have a thought and they sort of like they're like mid stride, they kind of like pause for a second as like they're processing something. You recognize that from his look. Like there's something going on that it's sort of beyond what you can see into. Like he doesn't seem to be harmed. Um, okay. Uh, Mallory, yeah, you try to sort of tune in on what's happening, but as the woman sort of turns to sort of look at you, um, you are blinded, and you cannot see. So you actually are going to take 2 strain just from being overwhelmed by this radiant light.
Okay.
There are reasons for this. I promise I'm not just trying to like murk you.
No, good. You're good.
And when you know you sort of feel like that, like your eyes are on fire. Like it's not. It's hard to explain. It's not painful, but like but you're just like overwhelmed. Like it's like there's so much. It's sort of like if you slept all day, maybe you were hungover, and then like someone shone like a mag light directly into your eyes, and you're just like overwhelmed, and you're like, I can't see, I have no idea. Like you sort of are having that kind of experience, except you're standing in the middle of this this temple or underground location. By the time your eyes sort of adjust, and they do, the figure you saw is gone. You don't know, you didn't see where they went. There's no signs of trails or tracks. But the figure with the hood approaches you and says, things are proceeding more rapidly than we expected. I need to know if you are ready.
I'm ready for any challenge I may face. But who was that? Please speak plainly.
He is going to strike you. You have dishonored his religion. You're basically you may have committed a slight hate crime / slur to this guy. While you're blinded, I'm just going to say he connects with you across the cheek, and you take another string.
the old whoopsie hate crime?
Yeah.
I am new here. Apologies for any offense, but I am new. I have just many questions.
So what he 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 touches a hand to your forehead, and he starts speaking in sort of your native tongue. You've sort of noticed that everyone in town here in Garrick that you've seen and encountered spoke kind of the common basic tongue that's used. With there's been some some odd inflections and some stuff. It's been sort of you get like a little bit of Australian English mixed with New Zealand mixed with South African mixed with Canadian, but like you basically get it.
The sprinkle of Italian.
Yeah. When he touches you, though, you are hearing it spoken. You are hearing your home language spoken with the crisp eloquence and diction of that your tutors. If you said a single word as precisely as that, they would have shit their pants in glee because you recognize it as your language, but it's sort of like, I'm reading a script and then Meryl Streep is reading a script. It's like, yeah, it's the same words on the paper, but it's not the same thing at all. But he's you sort of understand him speaking to you in sort of your native tongue. And the name he uses is actually your people's name for the god that we know as Lithara. What is Lithara known as amongst your people, Mallory?
Ooh. Kind of a blank check situation here.
Yep, it's a it's a big world. There's a lot of civilizations, a lot of different like tribal languages. While the kind of common language is Lithara. The fact that you didn't say that, and he's giving you the name, he wants to make sure you understand who he's talking about. So that's the name he's going to say.
Okay.
It's sort of a you with your upbringing understand that he is making sure that there can be no misunderstanding or ambiguity. In the clearest terms, he is making sure you understand that when you said, "Who is that?" You were speaking about a deity, someone whose power, wisdom, vision, and glory is beyond the affairs of the mortal realm. Even if I think we had talked about it sort of in one of our sidebars. Lithara is not necessarily one of the primary deities of your homeland, but she would still be, known at least a little bit. Like, in the U.S., it's like, if you asked about, gods, people would be like, oh yeah, Jesus too. It's like, but if someone said Vishnu, you might be like, okay, yeah, I have heard of Vishnu, even if I don't know what Vishnu is all about.
I would say, well, to the person who just kind of synced with my brain, I'd be like, if I'm in my native tongue, it would sound like, oh, 1,000 pardons. It is not becoming of a mortal to know the face of a god. And to Mallory, Lithara, definitely seems to have tones of a kind of nature vibe, but maybe also in the domain of balance and order, that type of deal.
Yeah, she is
like societal sense.
Yeah, she is the like the simple view is she's sort of like the nature and druidic type entity. She is the feeling of fresh grass crinkling under your toes. She is the humming of bees and the sweet honey of their finest harvest. She is the glorious trees that twist hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air, hosting fantastical creatures. It's like her voice is the whisper, is the sounds of you know, what's the sound of what sound does a tree make falling in the forest? That is her voice. Like it,
Yeah.
like
To the,
it's one of those, like, it's very abstract, but it's sort of in the religious terms, you would sort of understand it as like, it's like I'm not going to be able to fully understand all of this.
Yeah. And to the hooded figure, I would say, well, I've given many an offering to Lithara during my potion brewings and using herbal remedies and the like for my glorious perfumes. And again, I would not presume to know the face of a deity if I saw it myself. I hope I haven't slighted you in a major way.
He pulls the hood back, and you know immediately who this is. This is someone that you identify as Morvath, the Shadow Weaver.
Oh.
He
Mallory's now like starstruck. It's like
he raises a hand, and you are unable to make any further sound. So he very much looks like a like best movie shape of his life, Bruce Campbell, immaculate. Like as the hood comes back, shadows sort of fall off him. So think like smoke, sort of. I don't feel good, Mr. Stark. Like the smoke, like his cloak sort of falls away and disintegrates, and what you see is purple and black, like this just to call it clothing is insulting to the majesty of this. You don't recognize that there's seams, but it looks to flow off the body. The parts that are dark are like Vanta black, like complete absence of light. It's disorienting, seeing just that clothing, and he goes, "Well, kid," and he now sounds like Bruce Campbell instead of sort of a little bit more mysterious. It looks like things are gonna get a little crazy here in Calaxia. Get your friend, get a couple friends. I don't know what's going on, but you're gonna want to tell your friend Alar's in danger. And kid, if they can hurt Alar, it's like no one can stop what's coming after. And he sort of goes, he's like next time I put something in your shoe, just pick it up, man. He shakes his head a little bit, and he like reaches out to touch you on the forehead, and as he touches you on the forehead, you are immediately snapped back. To say it's violent is not quite right, but it's maybe the most jarring experience of your life, as you're sort of snapped out of this temple or garden, and you are back on the street in the same spot with Anello. As far as you can tell,
missing you. I missed you so much. Where were you, my friend?
I just grab Anello by the shoulders. What does your prophecy say about Alar? Does she have any enemies?
Oh no,
By the
she's
way,
invincible. Absolutely impossible to defeat Ayla. She's powerful beyond all recognition.
but Anello, you saw him sort of zone out for maybe 5-10 seconds. Like he was not gone long. Um, uh,
Very peculiar behavior.
yeah, Mallory, you feel like like part of you feels like you were only gone for a minute, but you also feel like you've aged weeks. You're not sure. Um, you have sort of think kind of like the caffeine shakes.
Yeah.
Like you're very disoriented. Would be sort of the uh, like. There's not really a word for it. You're shook, but not necessarily like in a I can't function, but more just like I don't even know where to begin with processing what I'm feeling.
I'm sorry to drag you into this, but I think I could use a friend right now. Would you care to join me at the cafe? I feel like I have a lot to discuss.
Yes, so we're going to defend Ayla. Yes, I'm all about this. This sounds delightful.
I don't want to reveal too much. I don't know who might be listening right now, but I might have received a vision. I would like to know more about Avar, if you would indulge me.
Yes, indeed. She is the sun and the moon, the mother goddess and the father god, all in one.
Well, let's find a cafe that I might be in a more amenable learning mood with a latte.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is me as the GM checking in. How are you guys doing? My throat is starting to get kind of scratchy, so I'm I'm going to sort of look for a spot to maybe cut things short, just because I want to be able to talk and do
I
stuff.
think that's a good
over the game.
hook to stop at,
Sure. Yeah.
unless there's something else critical that you wanted to get out of the way.
No, I mean, I had other stuff sort of planned, but this was very much I had a different. It's like I knew kind of what I wanted to get to, and I was like, this seems like an interesting way to start that. So
I mean, the gods dying is a good plot hook, if anything. So,
yeah, two gods meeting in a temple to tell, and then one of them and one of your deities from your homeland saying, "Are you ready to help?" Yeah, because you like there's no roles required. If you recognize your god saying, "Hey, you want to help the world not be destroyed?" You immediately go, "Oh, so those are stakes."
yeah, cool.
There's
I like
always
it.
stakes, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. I like that. Just like, hey, here's the problem. Go nuts. I like that. It's like if your god just rolled up in his muscle car and said, "Get in, kid."
We're going to kill God. Jump in, kid.
Or save God.
Yeah.
We're not sure at this
Or
point.
save God. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have a couple of hooks to sort of where this could go, but I actually I don't know totally yet what the actual threat is. I've got like a half dozen ideas of how it could unfold, and it'd be interesting to see sort of what makes sense and flows out. Just sort of like I've done with every other game with you guys. It's like, yeah, I've got a rough idea, but I'm not committed to it.
Well, with a major deity, they could have an infinite amount of story potential behind it. So,